Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Feenstra Zoo. My name, as always, is Spencer, your host and producer of this fantastic podcast. Thank you again for joining me. I know there is millions of other podcasts out there, so I so very much appreciate every time you tune into mine. Now, this week is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to explain why here, basically just give you some life updates and some things that have been intertwining with my life lately. Some synchronicity that it's kind of crazy, and it'll all make sense here shortly. So, like I said, this is going to be a bit of a life update from basically the beginning of the year. To kick it off, some of you know, most of you know, that I started a new job here beginning of April 10th. I've been training to be an outside sales representative for a industrial supplier. It's been a crazy ride, but it all started kind of back in, I don't know, late December, early January, where I was just really struggling with being unfulfilled in my life. Mainly, almost solely, my work life balance, that kind of stuff. Where there was nothing wrong with the job, there was nothing wrong with what I was doing. I was still generally coming home happy, which is, for Shalane and I, a prerequisite of just about every job that we do, is that we come home at the end of the day happy so we can still give each other our best. And it just wasn't really happening for me. As a travel agent, it was good. I was selling people happiness, I was selling people vacations, and I had a good time doing it. There was nothing truly wrong with the position, the company, anything. I quite enjoyed the people I worked for. Of course, you've got people at every workplace that you don't really see eye to eye with, but that's inevitable wherever you are. But the job, the career was fine. But I was coming home and I was just missing something. I couldn't put my finger on it, but I wasn't coming home as happy as I could be. I come to the end of the week and I would sit down just like, I could be doing something more, something better, something else. But I couldn't really put my finger on it. And I think it was about the end of January, I had a great conversation with my older brother Cody, and he's like, sometimes you just don't have to be fulfilled in what you're doing. Fulfillment comes from other places in your life. Your work can just be that. It's just putting food on the table and taking care of the bills for your family. And that stuck with me, and I contemplated what I was doing and what I could be doing and what I could be doing better. And as a travel agent, unfortunately, a large portion of that industry is working without benefits and working without any type of future career aspirations, because once you're an agent, that's kind of the end of the line. And myself, I kind of need a ladder to climb, because I tend to get bored and stagnant in my careers, and I want the next best thing. And that's speaking to just my personality traits of just, I don't know, I get bored. I need something else. I need some new skill to learn. I need some new dynamic to figure out, something along those lines. And as a travel agent, it just wasn't there. So hopped on Indeed and tried to find something that would give me a solid future, but still allow Shalane to stay home with the kids and do homeschooling, and something that would have good benefits so we're not paying out of pocket for all the basic needs of a family, dental, prescriptions, whatever, what have you. So that's what I did, and I came across this company that I'm now employed with, and it all just kind of made sense. You know, I've done lots of sales in my past. I've done lots of human connection pieces, building rapport, building relationships. So outside sales just kind of makes sense for me, and it makes sense for my family. This company is amazing. They have great benefits. They have a very respectable salary, so I can take care of my family still, and it all just kind of made sense. And I made this shift, like I said, in April, beginning of April here. And it all sounded like a fantastic thing. April was going to be this new, great, exciting, fantastic adventure. I don't know about you guys, but my April has sucked. And I'm recording this, unfortunately, on the 1st of May, so it'll launch tomorrow, so it's up to date. April was tough for this household. We all got sick, and some weird head cold that has had worse lingering symptoms than any head cold I've ever had in my life. Shalane's been off and on sick for the entire month. Like, she got sick the first week of April, and we'll get to a point where like 96% good, and then the next day we crash, and it's just been... I'm going to use the word miserable because words are failing me right now. Because it's really been a really hard month. With starting any job, you have this first week of taking in so much information. And that's exactly how my first week went. I was so burnt out by the end of the week that it was just brutal. I came home, I tucked my girls into bed right after supper, and then I went to bed myself at like 7 o'clock all week. It was so much. My brain was just fried. And then over that weekend is when I got super sick. Like, I was bedridden for the entire weekend. Still wasn't 100% for Monday morning to go to work. Was miserable Monday. Halfway through Tuesday, my head kind of cleared up, but I really didn't feel 100% until like the following Monday. It's been a brutal April. Through all of this, with the new job with outside sales, I needed to buy a car. So if you've seen it on the Instagram, it's the red Mazda. We named her the Phantom, and that's after a Star Wars reference from Star Wars Rebels. It's the small ship off the back of the Ghost. If you know what I'm talking about, you're awesome. If not, it's okay. It's from a cartoon. It is Star Wars canon, but that's a whole other topic. So, I mean, from the beginning of the year until now, this family's rhythms have been super off. With me looking for new work, with, I mean, the start of any year, figuring out new rhythms, new boundaries, new schedules. It's the same for every family. It's the start of a new season of life. So it's been all over the place. It's why I've been so last minute or late with all my episodes this year. It's not fair to you guys. I hope that I've still been doing a good job. I've been quite happy with a lot of what I've released this year, but unfortunately it's not been my best. And I do feel guilty for that because I want to pour everything into this podcast that it deserves. And like I said, there's been some weird synchronicities. So with wanting to do this life update, the episode that was actually scheduled for this week, which unfortunately I couldn't get done, I couldn't do it justice, I'm going to push it for the next episode. It's essentially the title of it is, if the devil can't make you sin, he will make you busy. And guess what? I have been so busy. I want to give you a little bit of sneak peek into the next episode. I'm not going to give it all away, but I want to talk a little bit about this because it's so relevant in my life, in my family's life right now, that we're so busy that our rhythms have shifted and our family dynamics have shifted. And it's not what we aimed for with moving out to the West Coast. It's not what we aim for as a family in our family mission. We don't want to be busy to the point of burnout. So getting into a little bit of what I'll talk more on next episode here. Busyness, it is inevitable. It is part of life. It doesn't matter who you talk to. If you're an adult, when you talk to another adult, you go, "Hey, how's life been?" The response is almost cut and paste. It's been good. I'm just busy. Think about that for a minute. How many people do you talk to that is the line? How was your weekend? Oh, good. Just busy. Not long enough. I mean, a weekend is never long enough, but that's the response that we're almost conditioned to give each other as adults. Just normalizing being so busy that we don't have time to breathe. It's so ridiculously pervasive in our culture, like Western North American culture, that medical science has actually deemed a new mental illness as hurry sickness. It's literally a diagnosable thing, that hurry sickness. The point of being so busy, having such an overpacked schedule, that you're burnt out. How messed up is that? And that brings me to another point, is like our culture is literally the burnout culture. We are bragging to each other, and I come across it every week. People are bragging to me and bragging to other people about how busy their life is, bragging about how little free time they have, because in our culture, busyness means successful. Bragging to each other how little I slept because I've been doing so much that I had to cut sleep out of my schedule. It's not okay. The answer to this problem is not more time. We don't need more time. We are given the same 24 hours every day. It's not supposed to be packed full. It's not supposed to be running 24/7 to get to the next check mark in our lives. We need space to breathe. We need space to do nothing. Nothing in our schedule is not a bad thing. It's a blessing. Simplifying our schedules is the answer. You and your kids and your wife and your husband and whoever don't need to do 36 different things in a day. Lay out your schedule, pick your priorities, set your schedule properly. It's okay to leave margin. It's okay to leave space in your calendar. Leave space for interruption. The perfect example of this in our lives was Shalane has a friend who had an appointment in Vancouver, and she doesn't drive herself, so she asked Shalane to drive her to her appointment, and we have a bit of margin in the schedule. And Shalane's like, actually, yes, I can drive you. But they ended up making a whole day of it, and they took, Shalane and her friend's kid and Tinsley and Hadley, and they went to like the Science Center and the Space Center, and they made a day of Vancouver, and it was so good for everybody. And this is because we have margin in our calendar that we can do this kind of stuff. Now, I couldn't. It was a Monday. I had to work. But Shalane could go. I didn't have margin in my calendar for that. But it was a perfect example of this. The last thing that I want to touch on in the foreshadowing for next episode here is the need for silence in our lives. There's a biblical practice called silence and solitude, where you're literally retreating from the noise of the day, retreating from the chaos of and everything of the day, finding a place of peace, giving yourself space, margin, time, silence to search for God in your life, to pray and to wait on the Lord. The need for silence in our lives is huge. If you don't believe me, if you think these are just words, this is a practice from the life of Jesus. Jesus preached the Sermon on the Mount, sent his disciples away, and retreated. He went up a mountain so he could get some space and some peace, some silence, to wait and to listen for God. And as you can tell from my life update, this is not something that I've perfected. This is not something that I'm throwing at you saying, it's worked in my life and you need it too. This isn't an infomercial. I'm not Billy Mays. Billy Mays was the original ShamWow guy and he passed away. Anyway, this isn't an infomercial for it because I haven't perfected this. This is something that I'm going through and trying to be better at in my life because I need it too. My life, my rhythms, my practices, everything has been so thrown off this year. And not that I'm saying it's all spiritual warfare, not that I'm saying that this is the devil in my life or anything like that. But this line, if the devil can't make you sin, he'll make you busy. It's actually a quote from John Mark Comer from his book, The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry. I know I've referenced it a lot in this show, but it's because it's impacted my life and it's changed my life so much. I'm going to link to it down in the show notes here. I'm going to link to it down in the show notes in the next episode because it's so good. It's so practical and it's so powerful. You need it. You need it. There's an audiobook on every audio platform. There's physical copies, there's ebooks. It's so readily available and it's not that expensive. So please check that out. It'll do wonders for your life if you let it. But that's my life update. That's a sneak peek as to what's to come next episode. I know this is not typical of the show. This is kind of done out of necessity to let you know where I'm at in my life, to let you know a little bit about what's going on behind the curtains here. And like I always say, I want this to be us doing life together, a conversation. So please reach out. I'm on all social medias at The Feenstra Zoo. Search me up, send me a message, let me know how you're doing. If you want to celebrate some things from this year, absolutely send them my way. If you need prayer for whatever's going on in your life, send it my way. I promise I will pray for you. I'm leaving sponsors off this episode. I'm leaving everything off this episode because it's just an update. So if you want anything, just share the zoo. On your social media, share the title page, your favorite episode, whatever. Tag me on whatever platform you're on. I'd love to give it a like and a reshare. But I love you guys. You've been awesome. I've been Spencer. Have yourself a fantastic week. God bless.